This is the Mike DJ Kelly Podcast. This is the Mike Kelly Podcast.
Mike Kelly.
So here we go. It's time for issue number 15 of the amazing Shorter Than Short, Shabby Mike DJ Kelly Podcast show, which includes news and stories that the others leave well alone.
On this week's podcast.
Coming up, competitions, Santander, radio, TV licenses, salaries, carrier bags, farms, and a whole lot more. If you want to get in touch about anything to do with the podcast show, please use either of the following to contact us. Email hello@MikeDJKelly.co.uk or on Twitter @MikeKellyDisco. So off we go with another top draw and banging Shorter Than Short podcast from those expert hands with a human touch, and today with the crystal clear sound quality of the Spice Girls gig. So, will podcasts replace radio? There's a lot of bad radio around, and indeed, there's a lot of bad podcasts. No need for that. I gave Heart's new national breakfast show a listen one day with Jamie and Amanda. The main feature seemed to be about a pan of burning pasta, which they must have thought was so good, as they ran it twice in the same show. Even here, on the Shorter and Shabby, we do not repeat things. Needless to say, I will not be returning to that breakfast show. I did have a strange dream last night where I was on a holiday in France and Tony Blackburn and Dave Clark had gone back to their Capital Magic days and rang me up on holiday and asked me all sorts of bizarre questions. Talking of Tony B, he's been quoted as saying, in the age of Spotify, where people can listen to non-stop music without interruption, it's now more important than ever to have DJs with personality and not just a one-sentence link every 4 songs. The new job means I'm listening to the radio at odd times. I can tell you there's not much inspiring stuff going on at 6:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Ended up back with Union Jack radio on DAB.
This is the Shorter Than Short, Mike Kelly Podcast.
Talking of a new job, I'm in a team of 6 to 9 doing the same things, some doing different, but what I've noticed is there is a loud random whistler in the team. Might be 2, as there is a lot of whistling. Don't know who they are, but sometimes they do an occasional tune you might know, then gibberish whistling. Have to use my pass to open 7 electric doors to get to my place of work.
It's time for a competition.
Let's guess the celeb. Who is this? Born 22nd of June 1961, is a Scottish pop singer and songwriter. Co-founded the synth pop group Bronski Beat, which proceeded to have several hits in the British charts. Their biggest was Small Town Boy, which reached number 3 in the UK charts. He left Bronski Beat in 1985 and formed the Communards with classical trained pianist Richard Coles, now a Church of England vicar and broadcaster. Who is he?
New for 2019.
Just came across these wages stats. Police starting salary in 2010, 24,000, and in 2018, 23,000. A newly qualified teacher in 2010 would get 21,000, and in 2018, 22,000. A fully qualified nurse in 2010 would get 21,500, and in 2018, 22,000. MP's salaries in 2010, 66,000, and in 2018, 77,000.
Golly gosh.
So on Twitter, at the real Bob Mortimer's site, this message: Dear Anton Deck, me and Vic challenge you to a fight round the back of the shops. Also on Twitter, posted by Pyro, when Lord Nelson died, he was 5 feet tall. His statue in London is 15 tall. That's a Horatio of 3 to 1. Greg Scott TV on Twitter complaining about TV continuity announcers, especially a very bored-sounding lady on the BBC and a guy who cannot talk properly on YTV.
New for 2019.
What's happening to the world? Primary schools are now applying to children in need for funding. What's this? A report by global consultancy A.T. Kearney says, based on expert interviews, they predict that 60% of meat will be grown in vats or replaced by plant-based products that look and taste like meat by 2040. Still in the news, the UK government's plan to ban the sale of new petrol and diesel cars by 2040. That's over 20 years away. Do you think charging points will be visible by then in locations north of Watford? And what does based on an expert interview mean?
Golly gosh.
According to Jim Royal, in 2017, 798,000 TV licenses were cancelled. In 2018, 860,000 TV licenses were cancelled. In 2019, January to May, 375,000 TV licenses were cancelled. That's 75,000 a month. On TV licenses, Martin Lewis says, the BBC says about 1.5 million over 75s will be able to claim for the 3 licence, but up to 3.7 million who previously would have been eligible for a free licence must have to pay. Check if you're eligible for pension credit and whether you're entitled to discount if not, or if you need a TV licence at all. Talking of which, a standard TV licence costs £154.50 a year. You need one to watch or record programmes as they're being shown on TV or live on an online TV service, and to download or watch BBC programmes from iPlayer. If you avoid all of those and watch on catch-up channels, you do not need a licence. Yep. It's competition time, but no prizes. What's the song these lines are from? I've got your picture of me and you. You wrote I love you. I wrote me too. Name the song and artist. I've got your picture of me and you. You wrote I love you. I wrote me too. Name the song and artist. I can't believe it's not butter. Patisserie Valerie's new owner has laid bare the desperate state of the business it bought in January, including a cost-cutting approach so severe that managers stopped using butter in the cake chain's puff pastry.
Is that true?
Please do get in touch about anything to do with the podcast show. Use either of the following to contact us. Email hello@MikeDJKelly.co.uk or on Twitter @MikeKellyDisco. And don't forget, in case you missed my tweets about new versions of the podcast being available, you can always get the Mike DJ Kelly podcast by going to iTunes or Spotify and searching Mike DJ Kelly, or by following me on podbean.com, and it will message you when a new version of the show is out. EE is trying hard to sell its new 5G in selected cities, but you need a new phone on a higher tariff to use it. But as with previous 3, 4 and now 5G launches, it does not seem to have any strong messages about what 5G will do for you apart from speed. But I suspect for many we have now got to a stage where the speed of the network, if it's working okay, is as it should be. We have a top speed limit on our roads of 70 miles an hour. A car that can do 200 miles an hour does not have many obvious benefits.
This is the Mike Kelly Podcast.
When I was young, yes, it's a long time ago, you did not used to tell people which way you voted and who were your favourite political personalities. Well, you could if you were on the radio, TV or had a newspaper column, but nowadays with social media, everybody is spouting off. Yes, Kirsty, Alan, Piers and Tony, keep quiet. When you start spouting off about your politics, you're turning some of your fans off, which will lead to reduced viewing figures and less work in the future.
This is the Short of the Short Mike Kelly Podcast.
Not keen on that Varilux glasses rally driving woman who appears before 4 in a bed. Seems a bit dated. And talking of fast drivers, should taxis that I have to direct to my destination be cheaper than the ones that know which way they're going? Only asking for a friend.
This is the Short of the Short Mike Kelly Podcast.
Let's get back to something more relaxing and pleasant. I do enjoy Our Yorkshire Farm on Channel 5 with Amanda and Clive Owen at Ravenseat near Keld in Swaledale. If you put their life in numbers, it would go something like this. Amanda, 41, Clive, 62, 9 children, 2,000 acres, 1,000 sheep, 40 cows, 6 dogs, 4 ponies, 30,000 plus Twitter followers and 2 best-selling books. Loved the show, which included the Swaledale show, and all the kids baked something and won prizes in every class. What would the Yorkshire Shepherdess say? Pa, jog on. It's what 'tis, isn't it? She'd shrug in her no-nonsense Yorkshire accent. This week's do-gooders is localgiving.org. Their mission is to strengthen UK communities by safeguarding the sustainability of local voluntary sector. They do this by supporting local charitable organisations to diversify their income through online fundraising. They provide tools, training, advice to help local groups connect with supporters online, improve their digital skills and develop practical fundraising experience. They're also a leading advocate for the sector and work to raise awareness and support for local groups from the public government and businesses. Since launching in 2009, over 24 million has been raised and distributed to our members, including 3.5 million in match funding and 400,000 in grants. Over 7,000 charities and community groups have created a local giving page to raise donations. More than 270,000 individuals have donated to a local charity or community group through the platform. More than 8,200 fundraiser pages have been created to raise money for local causes. 32,000 monthly direct debit donations have been set up to provide long-term continuous support for local charities. Find out more at localgiving.org and be generous.
Is that true?
If, on the other hand, you want to save money, watch out for supermarkets ripping you off with their carrier bag selections. All well and good introducing a 5p tax to stop us using plastic carrier bags, but this is now being exploited. In the old days, which I know about, you used to get a brown paper carrier bag with a string handle free of charge to take your stuff home in. Safeways, when they came to the UK, brought different sized free brown paper bags without handles. Supermarkets made the change to plastic bags using the excuse it was to save trees. Up until the 5p green tax, bags had always been free. I pick at random, but if you go into Morrison's, they now have bag display and purchase stations dotted around the store, with prices ranging from 20p for the up to 16 kilogram waterproof paper bag to the £1.50 Hessian bag. So getting a carrier bag in Morrison's is no longer free, but instead the cheapest is 4 times the 5p green tax. Sounds like a new revenue stream to me. Let's remember, this was about plastic and not about charging for bags to take the shopping home in.
This podcast is available on iTunes, Mixcloud.com, Popbean.com, and from my friend Alexa.
Please do get in touch about anything to do with the podcast show. Please use either of the following to contact us. Email hello@MikeDJKelly.co.uk, on Twitter @MikeKellyDisco. And don't forget, in case you missed my tweets about new versions of the podcast being available, you can always get the Mike DJ Kelly podcast by going to iTunes or Spotify and searching Mike DJ Kelly, or by following me at podbean.com, and it will message you when a new version is out. Very soon, the very first Bradford Fringe Festival will be taking place across Bradford this summer. They have over 50 events across 20 venues, showcasing nationally and locally recognised artists and emerging talent. Catch Edinburgh Fringe preview shows, theatre shows and a whole lot more between Friday the 28th of June and Sunday the 8th of September. If you want to hear about it, go to the bcbradio.co.uk website and the listener game feature, or search Mike DJ Kelly Podcast and it should appear.
This is the Mike Kelly Podcast.
I did promise last time more news of my past holiday capers, although not sure if this classifies as a holiday, as it was work-related. Cue the song. I'm a star in New York, I'm a star in LA. In my life there's no place for the man that I love, 'cause I'm living my life just to sing and be free, from LA to New York, from New York to LA. Yep, in the late 1990s, whilst working at AA Roadwatch, the AA had an annual charity fundraiser that involved staff going somewhere and doing something. But you had to raise enough money to cover the costs and make a profit. And the year I went along, it was a treasure hunt, starting on the west coast of America and finishing on the east coast. So LA to New York it was, as part of a 5-man team. Me and 4 mechanics from the Morley base. We flew by jumbo from Heathrow to LA and then got a people carrier that would be our home for the next 5 days. It was not a race from west to east, as that might tempt people to speed, so we had all these obscure clues for things to find en route, in the likes of Jacksonville, Little Mexico, Nashville and Graceland. I think standing outside Graceland at 2 a.m. in the morning and counting how many musical notes there are on the gate was a weird moment, and when you cross the road and there are 2 jets in the garden, I think we have 3 nights accommodation at motels en route, had some terrible food at diners, some strange times drinking in late night country and western bars, and an enjoyable day and night in New York at the end of it all. Oh yes, I think it was 32 or 38 notes on the gates at Graceland. If you need to know, search Mike DJ Kelly on Google Images. I think there's a picture of it out there.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly Podcast.
So we've touched on green things with our carrier bag rants, but what about we all get into the mindset of repairing things rather than throwing them away and buying a new one? This would stop us buying wasteful and not needed products not made in the UK and often out of plastic. As an example, vacuum cleaners are very easy to repair. I mean, you can do it yourself and buy the bits on eBay. If you repair anything yourself, you get a great deal of satisfaction from doing it. It's much better than buying the new foreign manufactured Dyson for £249. That's just too much for a vacuum cleaner. Talking of vacuum cleaners, was it Goblin or Electrolux that had the promo line? Nothing sucks like I think it was Electrolux. I'm not searching it on the internet. God knows what would come back. Washing machines and dishwashers are a bit more challenging to repair and heavier, but normally if you put the model number and how to repair into a search engine, you'll normally get back what you need in the way of help, often a video showing you how to do it. I have replaced various phone screens as the kids have grown up by watching someone on a video talk me through it. It's very easy when you do it. Did the same with my Samsung computer screen and the Kindle battery. It really does give you a good feeling when you fixed it. The other side of this is, if you're going to throw it away anyway, you might as well have a go before you throw it away.
On this week's podcast.
And talking of being green, I do miss Army and Navy stores. Are they still out there? They're not around here. You could buy surplus uniform clothes at these places. I say bring back the trench coat, a bit of canvas camouflage, or the beret. Is it just me? Or is the Santander Ant and Deck advert a waste of time? Okay, a few of the letters are similar, but is anyone in their right mind going to think, yes, Ant and Deck recommend Santander, I must switch to it?
Golly gosh.
Talking of old farts, the crumbly cheese, beloved of TV duo Wallace and Gromit, will soon help heat thousands of Yorkshire homes with renewable green gas made from cheese waste. The Wensleydale Creamery has stuck a deal to supply the waste whey they get from its cheese factory to a local bioenergy plant that produces enough renewable biogas to heat 4,000 homes. The Leeming biogas plant, which currently runs on ice cream residue, will use a process called anaerobic digestion to turn the dairy-based waste into renewable biogas.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly Podcast.
If you want to get in touch with this top-rated, much-listened-to podcast, please contact email hello@MikeDJKelly.co.uk, on Twitter @MikeKellyDisco. Indeed, if you want a podcast making for your business or need any help with radio producer or presentation work, please get in touch. Okay, time to go. Guess the celeb. Who is this? Born the 22nd of June 1961, is a Scottish pop singer and songwriter, co-founded the synth pop group Bronski Beat. He left Bronski Beat in 1985 and formed the Communards with classically trained pianist Richard Coles. Who is he? James William Somerville, better known as Jimmy Somerville. So what was the song that contained these lines? I've got your picture of me and you. You wrote I love you. I wrote me too. Name that song and artist. It was The Vapors turning Japanese. That's all we have time for in this edition of the crazy, shorter than short, shabby podcast show. From me, Mike Kelly, take care. Remember, you can always find the podcast show by shouting or searching Mike DJ Kelly Podcast.
This is the Mike Kelly Podcast.
Mike Kelly.